The one and only Xylophoney here, as promised, to show you guys my deck for Season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fight Club. Now I'm sure you guys already know the first rule of Fight Club. Always talk about Fight Club, whether it's in the comments below or with anyone you know. But we have our Sea Serpent deck here. Now, for those of you who don't know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Fight Club we are randomized a random type, and I was randomized the type of Sea Serpents. Now, normally we are allowed to re-roll once, and in this particular case I would've, and I'll get to the reason soon. But right before I went for my roll, a certain powerful duelist by the name of Mario landed on a certain type known as dinosaurs. Now, this was late in the choosings. There was more than half of the types already taken, but I kinda wanted to have dinosaurs, and more importantly, I didn't want one of the strongest opponents to have one of the strongest potential decks, so I used my reroll on him, so he would not have dinosaurs. So, he's gonna be a little mad about that when it comes to us dueling, but that means I could not reroll from my deck, and I was given Sea Serpents. Now, Sea Serpents are not normally bad. In fact, we saw last season, Zoo happened to use Sea Serpents, and he had a pretty scary deck. I even conceived a few ways that would make that deck even scarier. However, a little bit of a downside. Seeing as how I undefeatedly won Season 1 of Fight Club with my Dark Magicians, we have decided to ban all of the top 4 archetypes from the Season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fight Club. So no Dark Magicians, no Zodiacs, and no Mermales. So Zoo decided to ban Mermales rather than Atlanteans, which is okay, but Mermales were the power of his deck. So I am stuck with a nerfed version of a losing deck, is how I like to put it. He got 4th place in total, and I have to use a weaker version of his deck in a season where pendulums are allowed, so the skill bar is set even higher. So I'm just gonna say my chances aren't that great at being number 1 this season. However, the deck could be worse. I could have a worse typing, and I'm not unhappy with what I came up with. So let's go into the deck itself for the Sea Serpents with no Mermales allowed. So starting off, the main attack monster of this deck is Poseidra. Now this card just has 2,800 attack points, but he's really easy for me to summon. I have another monster that can help bring him out pretty easily, and he can just essentially use 3 tributes to be summoned from either my hand or the graveyard. Now those 3 tributes will activate some effects that also benefit me. So Poseidra not only gets summoned to the field, but he gets to activate a bunch of my water monster's effects. We'll talk more about him soon, but let's get on to the next thing. We have our Mooling Glacier. Now, Mooling Glacier is something I don't believe we saw in Zoo's deck last season, because it's kinda hard to summon. However, with how Atlanteans work, we have a lot of potential to manipulate our graveyard. To those who don't know, these types of monsters are summoned only when I have exactly 5 water monsters in my grave. No more, no less. So I have to get exactly 5 monsters, and then I can summon, if I have both of these guys in my hand, both of them, just like that. And they have the added benefit that they take 2 of my opponent's cards from their hand and just send them to the graveyard, which can normally slow down my opponent quite a bit. So those are just good power to have, and these are essentially the only bits of power I have in the deck. Aside from that, all we got is a bag of tricks. So next monster we have is Atlantean Dragoons. In fact, we're going to talk about the, let's start by talking about the Deep Sea Diva. The Deep Sea Diva is a card that's limited to only having 1 in the TCG. In fact, I can switch this over to this. There we go. So I'm only allowed to have 1 of them, but when I summon this card to the field, it'll let me summon another low-level monster. Now there's 2 options I can do. I can summon a Trident here, which is a decent use of it, or an Atlantean Prince, Neptibus. Now when I send out Neptibus, I get to use Neptibus's effect, and Neptibus, what he does is he can activate his effect, and I send 1 card to the graveyard, and 1 card comes to my hand. Pretty much any Atlantean card, so I have unlimited search power as long as I can get one of these Neptibus guys on the field. Now Neptibus has a bonus effect that if I use a water monster to send him to the grave, then he gets to special summon something from the grave, much like a Monster Reborn. which is pretty nice, but we'll show you some of those combos in a second. Now we have the other option, which we can bring with the Deep Sea Diva, is Atlantean Trident. Now Trident's a much more simple card. Trident is essentially we put him on the field next to another one of our low-level Sea Serpent monsters. He tributes himself and that card, and we bring out a free Poseidra from the deck. Now normally I like to use Poseidras, from the hand or graveyard summoning effect because it's a little better, but this is also very good because it just brings it straight out from the deck. So that's one less Poseidra I have to worry about getting to my hand. Anyway, another combo we can do with Neptibus is we send to the graveyard this little guy here, Atlantean Dragoons. Because when Atlantean Dragoons is sent to the graveyard by a water monster, he gets to bring another card to your hand. So by activating the effect of Neptibus, we essentially get search power for 2 of our key cards. Now that could be Mooling Glacier, that could be the Call of the Atlanteans, which is probably my best card, and I'll get to that one soon, or it could even be the Deep Sea Diva. So things come very, very handy when it comes to using this card. That's how I set up myself. Now normally if you have Mermails in the deck, there's a crazy combo you can do, but unfortunately not gonna happen for me, so it's really just used for setup. Aside from that monster, and the combos I can do with him, we've talked about Trident. We have Atlantean Marksman, which if this card attacks and does some life point damage, I get to summon a monster from, I believe it's the, from the, where's it from? I don't know the deck flawlessly yet, I'm sorry, from my deck. So I can attack with this guy and then bring another low-level Sea Serpent from my deck. Then that could be a Trident, and then I could get a Poseidra out right after. That could be a Neptibus, so I can get a little bit more cards into my hand. A lot of things I can do with him. But his better effect is when I send him to the grave by using a water monster's effect, such as, Trident or Poseidra summoning capabilities. He lets me destroy 1 set card. So he's a good all-around card with 2 effects. Parallel to that is the Atlantean Heavy Infantry, and if I send him to the grave, I get to destroy a face-up card. So between those two, which, just to say, I can send him right to the grave with Neptibus as long as I get one of those on the field, I can destroy any face-up or face-down card on my enemy. But it's only 1 card, so it's limited, but it's decent. It's good to have. And then finally, to round off our monsters, we have the Atlantean Attack Squad, which is just some raw power. As long as I have another Sea Serpent on the field, which I most of the time do, he has 2200 attack points. So this comes in very handy when I use Dragoon's other effect. If for some reason I can't use Neptibus' effect to send him to the grave and he is drawn into my hand, I can just summon him, and as long as he's on the field, all of my level 3 and lower monsters, such as all these guys, can attack directly. Bypassing all of my opponent's defenses. So that could be good in a lot of situations, and I almost considered basing the deck completely around this, but considering my search power is mostly for level 3 and lower monsters, and Dragoons has such a good effect aside from that, I decided to go for, a more traditional format, but potential is still there. Anyway, onto the spell and trap cards. Actually, let's hop over to the extra deck monsters first. So the main one we're going to be using, in fact, it's probably the only one we're going to be using, is Bryonic. Now, in a recent update for the TCG, you're allowed to have 2 Bryonics in the deck. Now, unfortunately, Yugioh Pro has not updated to that particular version yet. So I have these 2 guys in here right now, but, if I don't use them, I probably won't end up using 2 of them in a duel anyway, because I only have 1 tuner. But I have another tuner in my side deck in case I want to do some more stuff with that. Anyway, the basis of Bryonic is when I bring this one to the field, I can send some cards from my hand to the graveyard, and then, which I think might activate their effects, I'm not entirely sure. It is a water monster. I'll have to do a little research on that. But I can send a bunch of cards back to my opponent's hand. Now, of course, they can just replay them next time, but if it's an XC monster on the field, they go bye-bye. And if I see that my opponent has a very low amount of life points left, I can finish him off with a move like this. So Bryonic is pretty useful, especially in a tight spot. Then I have Sea Dragon Lord, which can get 3000 attack points if I use it certain effects, but honestly, I'd much rather just get a Poseidra on the field, because it has other good things going for it. And then we have a bunch of level 4 Sea Serpent XCs, but the only level 4 stuff we have is the Dragoons. So not necessarily worth bringing them out, but we have, just so you guys can see him, Shark Drake, which is actually never going to be summoned because it is 3 level 4s. bit of an overlook. But we have Bahamut Shark, which is usable in certain situations. Hope Woven Dragon Spider, which might be used most often. Or Abyss Dweller might be used. Or Nightmare Shark might be used. It's a lot of big maybes. Nightmare Shark is actually with level 3 monsters, so I can see myself actually using this guy, because I have a lot of level 3 monsters. The only thing is I usually like activating the effects to get my level 3 monsters off the field, so they get to activate their effects, rather than, you know, just Xe summoning them, you know. But if I have like 2 of these guys on the field, they don't have any secondary effects, so that'd be a great time to bring out the Nightmare Shark. And he has cool effects, and then we have Tri-Edge Levia, which also is probably just never going to be summoned. If you guys want to, you know, pause the video and look at any of these guys' effects specifically, go for it. But they're very uncommon to use in this deck. Mainly, I just go for the Poseidra power. Anyway, spell and trap cards. We have ourselves 1 for 1. Essentially, the main use of this card is I send 1 card from my hand to the graveyard. So, you know, just send something I want in the graveyard, such as Poseidra. He does fine in the graveyard. And I can then bring a Neptibus to the field? Yeah, I special summon a Neptibus to the field. So very handy. And that doesn't even use my summon, so I can just use this card, send a card to the graveyard, bring a Neptibus to the field, and then from my hand, say, summon a Atlantean Trident. And then I can go ahead and Neptibus secondary effect the Poseidra I sent to the graveyard back to the field. And I'll have 2 Poseidras, right? Just like that. It's a good combo if I have the right cards. We have a Regeki because it's normal, Memory of Greed for draw power because I have all water monsters. We have Surface, which is kind of like a weaker version of a card you'll see later, so I only have 1 of it, but still decent to get, you know, 1 more thing up. We have Salvage, which lets me bring 2 cards such as the Neptibus or some of these other cards back to my hand so I can use their effects again. Pot of Duality because, you know, just a little more draw power doesn't hurt, and I do find I have some dead turns with this deck. Twin Twisters, especially running 2 of these because I don't mind sending certain cards to the graveyard, once again, such as Poseidra. And then we get to the best card, Call of the Atlanteans. Now, Call of the Atlanteans is good because, once again, I can Neptibus Search Power this right to my hand, and I can activate it, bringing 3 monsters from my graveyard, well, 3 lower level monsters, which are most of them, to the field. Now, by having 3 lower level monsters on the field, 1, I get to freely activate Neptibus' effect again, which is always nice, but 2, I can special summon a Poseidra from my hand or graveyard. So that's a very quick way to do that. And if I have a lot of set spell cards on the field, and I summon Poseidra like that, all of the spell and traps go to the owner's hands, and I make my opponent lose a lot of attack points. So that's pretty nice as well. Not only that, when I use that effect and send Neptibus to the graveyard, I get to special summon another monster from the graveyard. So, same thing, double Poseidra combo. And say I have a Atlantean Heavy Infantry on the field as well, and he gets sent to the graveyard. That means I can destroy an opponent's face-up card. Hiccuped a little bit there. So, as you can see, there's quite a few possibilities with all the effects I have. And Call of the Atlanteans just makes these so easy to use. I have 3 of these. Sort. Bingo. Next up, we got our trap cards here. Actually, no, we got Water Hazard, which lets me do a little extra special summoning if I don't have any other monsters. Good little safety card. Not the best card in the deck. You might see me side deck this every now and then. I don't know. But we have Bottomless Trap Hole because, well, it's good. We have Quaking Mirror Force because, well, they're good. We have Torrential Tribute because, 1, it's good, 2, because I like the theming of it with a water deck. Just that roleplay part of me still leaking in here a little bit. But Torrential Tribute's normally a risky card, but me sending cards to the graveyard is not necessarily a bad thing. If I have some monsters on the field and I send them to the graveyard, I'm just setting myself up for a Call of the Atlanteans, or setting myself up for a Moonling Glacier summon. So I'm okay with sending monsters of my own to the graveyard if I have to. Then we got Breakthrough Skill to stop opponents' effects, and Solemns to stop effects and special summoning. So all kinds of stuff in the traps just to stop my opponent from doing their plays, and everything else is just oriented around me doing my plays. It's not nearly as good as the Dark Magician deck we had last season, and as I said, Pendulums are in the season, so the stakes have risen. I would use Pendulums myself, but there's actually only 1 Sea Serpent Pendulum monster in existence. 1, it's not very good, and 2, if anyone of you know Pendulums, they're not going to be very useful if you only have 1 of them. So that's the thing. But just going through the side deck afterwards, we got this Ice Mistress. Not really super useful in what I'm expecting to go up against, but it does act as another tuner. We have Soul Charge because it sounds good, it's just you know, I haven't decided to use it yet. Swords of Revealing Light is a really good combo if I have to go for the attack indirectly system. Book of Moons, extremely versatile card. Pot of Acquisitiveness, if I go up against an opponent that is going to banish my cards, that means I can get them back. My Body is a Shield. If my opponent's running like triple Solemns and trying to kill me, this can actually counter Solemn, I think. I'll try it out. Solidarity, if I just need like a little attack boost. I'm hesitant to put this card in right away because I don't necessarily need to rely on more attack points because 2800 is usually enough. But for example, if I was going up against like a Blue Eyes deck, not that there is one in the season, but with a, you know, standard of 3000, it'll be like, okay, maybe I'll throw this in here just so I, you know, normally overpower that. We have Mind Crush in case, for example, I was going up against the Dark Magician deck. I can declare a Dark Magician, and all the Dark Magicians in my opponent's hand and deck go bye-bye, which means that deck is rendered useless. So, if I know the deck my opponent's using, that's a good card. And Dimensional Prison's good, more breakthrough skill, Dimensional Barrier so I can counter stuff, such as, like, this is a good Zodiac counter, but we're not going to see them in this season, but it's also a good Pendulum counter. We have Anti-Spell Fragrance, Skill Drain, and another Solemn, just in case we need any of that stuff. Anyway, I think we can go into one little test of this deck so we can see what it's capable of. Let's fight some Dark Magicians. Keep in mind, AI is terrible with the Dark Magicians deck. However, I do just want to show you guys some of my own combos, so it's fine, don't worry. Don't worry, I'm not trying to prove this deck is good, I'm just trying to prove that it does things. Alright, so this deck is going ahead, getting itself a Dark Magician, and oh boy, it actually might be doing rather well here. So, we're gonna go for a nice cheeky little Twin Twisters. Now, I think if that's a navigation, it's gonna activate it anyway, but let's see what I can send to the grave. Salvage is not very useful in a first hand, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. We can send Salvage there and get rid of these two. And, okay, it was just a Lure of Darkness. He was baiting me. Totally baiting me. But this is actually a really bad hand because I don't have anything I can summon. We could go ahead and activate our Water Hazard, though, and then as soon as we get some monsters to summon, we'll be able to bring those out. For now, we must wait. As you can see, this deck is much less reliable than last season. So, what do we got now? Bingo. Deep Sea Diva. This is probably the best thing I could have drawn. So we're going to go ahead and summon the Deep Sea Diva and activate its effect. This will let us bring, of course, we're going to go for the Neptibus combo here because we have no cards in our hand. And we could have brought him out in defense mode, but I don't care. We're going to activate his effect, send Dragoons to the graveyard. Sending Dragoons to the graveyard, we're going to get to bring 2 monsters to our hand. Now, since we're so limited right now, actually, since we're bringing some monsters to the graveyard, another call, the Atlanteans wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But to my hand, I think just so we have another monster in case things go wrong, we're going to grab this guy. And for the other cards, since we're activating Dragoons here, I think we're going to try to bring out the Mooling Glacier. Normally, I would try to get a Call of the Atlanteans, but since we already have one, I think we're okay. I could get another Neptibus, but it looks like I'm going to be able to do a combo next turn anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. And actually, I can't do that because I already have 2 monsters on the field. If only I had more monsters in my hand, Water Hazard would have been useful. It's okay. We currently have 1 water monster in our graveyard, so we'll see what we can do here. I probably should have gotten another Neptibus, but don't worry about it. I'm bad. So he's going to attack, kill our Neptibus, and end that. Now, Deep Sea Diva, unfortunately, does not have any major purpose here, so we're going to go ahead and put it into defense mode and summon ourselves. Ooh, that's not necessarily good. We're going to have to activate Surface here and bring you back, because we need you, buddy. We need you. Now we're about to do a combo here. We're going to start by, actually, no, we're going to start by sending Atlantean Drake. Oh, I want to send the Poseidra to the graveyard, but I need one other card in my hand. Darn it. Maybe. We're going to send Poseidra to the grave, because I want to show you guys that play. And then to my hand, I can go ahead and grab, what do we want here? Another Poseidra. That sounds good. Alright, now what do we got in here? 1, 2. We have 2 monsters on the field and a Twin Twisters. So, what we're going to do is go ahead and activate Twin Twisters and... Wait, so we got 2 in here, right? Okay, so before we do anything stupid, we are going to normal summon. No, that would still not work. I'm trying to do the math so we can get Mullen Glacier out here. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. But let's go ahead and summon our Atlantean Marksman so we can get his effect out. There we go. Not gonna solemn myself here. Now, I could Brionic right now, I believe. Yeah, but this is not the time to use it. So what we are going to do is we're gonna activate this guy from our hand and send these 3 away. And he's gonna solemn me, which is bad. But we do happen to get Neptibus's effect, which means we can get at least 1 Poseidra out here. So let's do that. And I can destroy one of their face downs. So, maybe I should have Twin Twisted first. Oh well. But they got a Magician's Rod back to their hand. We did that, and we got a Poseidra on the field now. Unfortunately, that didn't go quite as planned, but fortunately, we have ourselves a Call of the Atlanteans, and exactly 5 monsters in the graveyard. So I did math right. Yeah! So we can special summon Mullen Glacier now. Watch 2 of the cards in his hand. Bye-bye! Now they're random, but that's a Dark Magician in the grave. Not always the best situation, but in this case, I'll accept it. Let's go for some attacks, shall we? I couldn't Twin and Twister because I have no cards left. So let's just go ahead and attack, and we almost have him defeated. So there we go. Let's see what else this thing can do. With the, yeah, that's not going to be much use to it. Oh, actually, if that's a Magician in the hand, could be, but we're going to find out. So it is a Magician in the hand. Lovely. So, solemn. You know we don't want those Magicians on the field. We don't want that Dark Magic Circle doing its thing. So what we are going to do is Call of the Atlanteans, which will let us bring these 3 back onto the field. There we go. Now we got that, and that, and that. Now, since it is a time where we have so few left there, we could go ahead and bring out Brionic. Could we bring out Brionic? We should be able to. Why can't we? I don't know. I'm dumb. Anyway, what we can do is... Why can I not special summon? Oh well, let's go ahead and destroy that last card in case it's something scary. Get rid of the Dark Magic Circle. It was another bluff. So we can go ahead and attack. There we go. And that'll end that duel. Since Dark Magicians are really bad with the AI, let's try one more. Alright, let's try some Blue Eyes. Darn it, I'm really bad at rock, paper, scissors, shoot today. This is, slightly better hand. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's doing things. It's doing things. Oh no. Oh no. Alternative coming out. There we go. Okay, it's not able to summon its thing yet, though. Okay, so we have a Poseidra, and we have a Trident. Now, unfortunately, we don't have 2 monsters here. Now, since I have Water Hazard, and I don't want to lose my Trident to that effect, I'm actually not going to summon him this turn, since I can just summon 2 things next turn. So let's set up a wall here. I'm going to keep the Call of the Atlanteans. Actually, no, might as well throw it out as a bait, because, you know... You just want to try to keep as many of these cards as possible. Now we're going to use our Quaking Mirror Force because we want to stop all that from happening. And we want to draw another monster. Ooh, darn it. This will be worth it probably. So let's send these 2. Murray of Greed's also one of my least favorite cards in the deck. Yes, it was completely worth it. So let's go ahead and activate our Water Hazard here. So now we can summon 2 monsters. Normal summon our Atlantean Prince. And let's see, once per turn you can special summon. Oops, I didn't do that right. Oh well, Atlantean Prince is still good. I'm learning. Hashtag learning. And we can go ahead and send to the graveyard just to get some more cards. Once again, very setup heavy here. We'll do that, and to our hand we can go ahead and in this case, let's grab ourselves a... we don't have any Poseidras currently, so let's grab one of those. And he will let us grab what I believe is going to be a Deep Sea Diva, just because I'm not quite as set up as I'd like to be yet. We'll grab a Mullen Glacier next turn, and we'll set that for now, and we might even get to keep Neptibus alive, seeing as we got a Quaking Mirror Force right here. Thing about Blue Eyes is they can just sacrifice, or just pull out another. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. Fine. Oh, geez. Oh, I think he just stops Quaking Mirror Force. Well, let's make sure he does. Oh, no, that works on him. Cool. That's why I have Quaking Mirror Force. Alright, sweet. We got another Call of the Atlanteans. Now, what is currently in our graveyard? Just 2 water monsters. So what I can do is now activate this. They're going to do a little bit of Maxine. I don't care. I don't care. I want to show off this stuff. So we can pull out our Deep Sea Diva, normal summon our Trident, and get you out here. Activate our... Deep Sea Diva's only when I normal summon it. I'm dumb. I did that in the wrong order. Oh well. Wow, this is showing how bad at my own deck I am. Learning. But at least I'm willing to admit it. What we can do is unfortunately not use Deep Sea Diva's effect. Activate that to bring out Poseidra from the deck. Not the worst thing. So, what we're going to do now is, I don't really need more cards in my hand at the moment, and I don't have enough to do any Call of the Atlanteans nonsense at the moment. But we will go for an attack and destroy your face-down dude thingy, because I don't like him. Alright, we did send a bunch of blue eyes to the grave, which isn't ideal, but you know, 'tis what it is. And it looks like they did not have any moves. I'm surprised. Okay, what we can do now is drop our Call of the Atlanteans at the end of their turn, bring these guys back out, and now we'll be able to use some effects. Brilliant. Alright, and we got an Atlantean Dragoons. Now, we didn't want to get him in the hand, but I guess I might as well show off one of the other things this deck can do. Actually, no, I don't have any attacking monsters besides Neptibus here. Trident could, but nah. What we're going to do is activate Atlantean Prince, and this is going to be pretty nice, because we have the... Actually, no, we just emptied our graveyard. We're dumb! It's okay. We are going to send the card to the graveyard known as... currently, we don't have any of the Dragoons to send, so we're just going to send a Poseidra to the grave. And that actually begs the question, what do I want to use this effect? I think I know what I'm going to do. And to our hand, we are going to, of course, get ourselves another one of these, because Call of the Atlanteans is so good. Now, what we can do is activate this effect to send these three monsters to the grave. However, I want to use the one from my hand, because you'll see 3 Poseidras on the field next turn. So we're going to do that. Get Deep Sea Diva, Neptibus, and Trident out of here. And darn it, well, then we'll only see one more out here, because Neptibus's effect still goes off. And now I just got another dude in the graveyard. It's fine. Might as well summon this guy, because why not? Might as well salvage, because why not? Get these 2 back, because I want to activate Deep Sea Diva. And we'll set this card on the field once again. Let's try destroying some things, shall we? That's probably a white stone. Yep, it is. And let's, we know what that is, so let's actually... Oh, too late. Can't go back now. And attack that as well. And now let us go ahead and end my turn. He's gonna get a blue eyes to the field, which is pretty good. He's gonna be able to kill something of mine. Ooh. Uh-oh, bad things are happening. Not good, not good. Okay, he didn't have anything left. This is fine. We're fine. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. What we're gonna do now... Ooh, we're in good shape. Now we'll normal summon Deep Sea Diva. Activate its effect. Go ahead and special summon the monster. Yeah. Neptibus sounds great. Activate ourselves a Neptibus. Go for it. And it looks like we might have enough attack points here to do a Brionic play, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. So let's go ahead and send... we barely have enough attack points to do a Brionic play. I don't even know if we do, but we're going to try it anyways, just so you guys can see it. And we are going to send to the graveyard. How about... Well, there's not much left here, so let's go ahead and make it a heavy infantry. You haven't seen that yet. And to the hand, there's not really much left important, so we'll bring a Trident, because then I can potentially get another Poseidon. Well, I don't have any Poseidons in the deck. It's pointless, don't worry. My deck goes a little weak late game, safe to say. So we now have that, and we actually have Dragoons on the field, so we can do an efficient summoning of you. There you are, sir. And I now get to see if sending a Neptibus from the hand will activate the effect. So let's go ahead and do that. It does! That's lovely, lovely. So that means we get to bring out Poseidra. We can also go ahead and activate a Surface and bring out Trident. And if I had another Poseidra in my deck instead of the graveyard, I could do that on Neptibus and get another 2 monsters out. But, you know, I think we're in a good enough position right now. We're going to be okay. So, as you can see, there's some sick combos that can be done with this deck. I misplayed quite a bit, but hopefully I won't when it comes to the actual duels. And, yeah. Hope to see you guys next time for the next week of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fight Club. Remember, always talk about Fight Club.